Today's video is on this beast of a dresser behind me. Picked it up at an estate sale. I love to go to estate sales. I like to try to go the first day, kind of scope everything out. I had my eye on it. It's a Thomasville, and of course it's a campaign furniture, which I love. They were asking $300 for it. So I went the last day and I offered $125. And they took my bid. So I was able to pick it up. It's a little bit higher than I normally spend. I like to stay between 50 to 100, but sometimes on higher end pieces, you can go a little bit more because you can sell them for a little bit more. And then, sometimes if you don't have as many repairs, it's really worth it. So I do have all the hardware. There was one that was missing, or one that actually I was looking at it the first day and the handle came off. So I put it in the drawer, hoping that it would stay there throughout the sale. And so when I called them back, they accepted my bid. I said, no, there was a missing hardware. I said, is it still there? They checked, it was still there. So I was like, good. So I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do with it. It's really tall. I'm 5'10", and it's like really big. So I think it'd be great for a small space that needed a lot of storage because it has that upright. It has 7 drawers, and then it has this area right here that has a shelf in it. I don't have it in, but it has a shelf that's adjustable as well. So it provides display space, and it also has a ton of storage. So I'm either gonna do a full refinish or maybe a gentle restoration and go with like a Java stain. I'm not really sure. So I'm just gonna get it cleaned up and we'll see. So let's go.
Overall, this piece was in pretty good shape. It had some kind of a wood backing. I think it was just a veneered backing, but I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to strip that and for it to match. So I was a little concerned about that, but you can see it's just a really dark finish. I don't know if it had kind of like oxidized over time or what, but this side probably had the most problems. There were some scratches and some stains on it. I'm not really sure what all that was, but I do have all of the original hardware, which is important because it's hard sometimes to source vintage hardware, but it's a really quality piece. The main damage is just probably right here, just like some kind of a ring, and I've obviously eaten away at the finish, so you could kind of see what the finish was underneath that. So, it's a really beautiful piece. It's a really great quality piece. So I'm just going to start by taking all the hardware off and go from there. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and strip it. So I'm not exactly sure what color I'm going to go with, but I'm just going to go ahead and strip it down and see what I find. I'm using Clean Strip Premium Stripper. This is really fumey, and so you want to make sure you have a respirator on when you use this. So I'll go ahead and put gloves on when I start working on it. I'm just going to put it on with a chip brush and let it do its thing, wait about 15-20 minutes. I might put another layer on, and then when it's ready, I'm going to go ahead and use my Carbide scraper. Usually for my stripping, I start with my Carbide scraper, and I scrape off as much of the finish as I can. This is very light. I'm not like digging it in and using it more like a putty knife, really, because I'm not like really digging in. I'm just mainly pulling off that finish. And then after I do that, then I'm going to come back with some acetone. I'm going to use that as my after wash. I'm just going to use some paper towels. I'm going to get off any remaining finish with the acetone, and then I'll use a light abrasive like a Scotch-Brite pad or of steel wool, something to that effect, and that'll help get off the rest of the finish. Now I'm ready to go ahead and sand. I'm starting with 80 grit, and I am using my Festool sander. This is an orbital sander. You can see it didn't sand great. I ended up just switching over to some hand sanding just to really get into some of those nooks and crannies. You can see that one drawer on the right. My orbital sander obviously doesn't get in there. So you can see as I go through the process of this sanding, so many nooks and crannies. I really just need to get a like a rectangular sander, because it's really hard to get into those corners, and this one had a lot of corners, and so I ended up having to do a lot of hand sanding. So I'll just warn you ahead of time, you're going to see a lot of hand sanding, but that's where I really think I just need to invest in some of the right tools. But yet at the same time, I have this fabulous sander, the Festool, but I get a lot of the swirl marks still. So I'm still working on it. Sometimes I really try to put light pressure on my sander so I don't have the swirl marks. But sometimes people ask me, why do you hand sand so much? And it's because, I don't have to deal with any of the swirl marks or anything when I hand sand. And so sometimes it just goes quicker. But here's all my hand sanding. I'm going to go ahead and remove the backing, and I'm going to remove the top, and I'm going to try to refinish those pieces as well. This is my little 1-inch carbide scraper. I actually forgot I bought it. So it came in really handy on this piece because I had some really small little areas that I had to get in. This is a nice little interface pad I do have with the Festool. It helps me to get into some of the curved areas, so I do like this one.
I've done a crazy amount stripping and sanding on this gigantic piece. And you know what? After all of that, the wood is rather lackluster. I really thought I saw what to me looked like a walnut pattern underneath the dark finish on the drawers. But let me show you where I'm at. Okay, here are the drawers, and you see that dramatic pattern? Well, when I put some liquid on it, that's all I get. And so it's a very light wood. I don't know what it is. I mean, it has a beautiful pattern, but I don't know. This is kind of interesting, the side. It's got some interesting pattern, but again, it's almost like a yellowy color. And then this is a different wood altogether, and it kind of has a reddish tone. It's got some variation that kind of looks a little bit figured, almost like a little bit of burl in there. And then this up here is totally different. This is, I don't know. So I've got this wood, I've got this wood, and then this is different. 3 different kinds of wood on it. So I'm a bit at a loss as far as what to do, because I have 4 different types of wood, because I forgot to show you on the drawers, and there's some trim pieces that are completely different kind of wood. So I've got 4 different woods on this. I need to blend them all together. So I'm thinking about going with like a mid-tone brown. So I'm either thinking like antique walnut, maybe I've done mahogany, brown mahogany mixed with a nutmeg, and it's really beautiful. I don't think I want to go as dark as Java, but I'm gonna do some tests on the sides and see what color I like. So let's go. Let's try a couple. I'm gonna do antique walnut. I'm gonna try brown mahogany and nutmeg. And I may try a combination of the two. You can see that the brown mahogany has a bit of red, a lot redder compared to the antique walnut. And then here's the nutmeg compared to the walnut. It also has a lot of red in it. So I'm gonna mix a little bit of the brown mahogany with the nutmeg. Okay. Here is that's antique walnut. Here is the nutmeg mixed with, this is nutmeg mixed with the mahogany. And then here is just the nutmeg. And for chagrins, let's try just mahogany. Okay. Okay, antique walnut, mahogany, 50-50 of mahogany and nutmeg, and this one's nutmeg. So, what do we think? Yikes, I don't know. Take a picture. I am going to think on that. And in the meantime, I'm going to take it off right away. I really don't like this one. I think it's too dark.
I think this one's too light. I like these two, I think. I might try antique walnut mixed with something else. I'm just putting some mineral spirits on here to take it right off so I don't mess it up. I'm gonna mix. This is antique walnut and mahogany. Let's try that one. Let's see what that one looks like. There's antique walnut and mahogany. I put a poll up on Instagram and on YouTube, and I got a lot of really great responses. Overwhelmingly, people chose antique walnut, but I got a lot of varied responses. So I felt at first it was kind of dark, but I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and try the antique walnut. Well, this is where I did the sample area, so I'm just going to sand that back. It didn't come completely off with the mineral spirits. I did have problems with this area later, so I'll show you what I had to do. So now I'm ready to go ahead and stain. I like to go ahead and put down a little bit of mineral spirits down on the bare wood before I put my gel stain on. It just kind of helps the gel stain glide over the surface really well. Gel stain is really easy to apply. You just simply put it on. I like to kind of go sometimes with the grain, and I like to go against the grain. And then you're just going to wipe off the excess with a lint-free cloth. Okay, so do you see this side when I get to here? That's the side that I had done the samples on. So I sanded it, but I should have sanded the whole thing to make it consistent. I only sanded this area, so the stains took differently. So I'm gonna have to do a second coat on that. So if you ever do that again, sand the whole thing. Don't do what I just did. Okay, after that second coat, you can see that area there still needed a little bit. So I'm going to go back in with a chip brush. Now, chip brushes are really great for blending in gel stain because of the way that the brushes are, or the bristles, they're kind of rough and they're separated. So it kind of can mimic wood grain. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to feather it out. I'm going to go with it flat. And then I'm going to tilt it, and you see I'm just going with the more of the thinner side. So I'm using both directions, going up, feathering it out, pulling off some of the excess on a lint-free cloth. And I'm just going to keep doing that until it's all blended in.
So I'm not gonna lie, this piece has so many moving parts. I just underestimated all the nooks and crannies. It's like a bookcase and a triple dresser in one. So you can imagine, I had to take the top off, the back off, strip it, restain it, 2 separate pieces, and then I totally forgot to strip the shelf that went in there. So here I thought I was almost done. This morning I had to strip both sides and the front of that shelf. So it's drying, and then I will hopefully sand it later, and then I will stain it tomorrow. So hardware, I got it soaking in boiled water and vinegar, so I'm going to polish it up this afternoon, but I'm pretty much down to sealing it as far as the body and the drawers. So we're almost there.
Once the gel stain dried, I'm going to go back with Osmo's Polyex oil. It's a hard wax oil. You just simply rub it on, wipe off the excess with a lint-free cloth. Very easy, but it's a really beautiful, natural looking finish, and it provides really durable finish and a really beautiful low luster shine. Then I'm going to go ahead and reattach the top that I refinished. Just going to staple it back on, and then I'll also do the backing as well. After my hardware has soaked in some boiled water and vinegar, then I'm just going to go ahead and polish it up with some Barkeeper's Friend and a very fine steel wool. Okay, well, let's look back at the before. Man, this was a beast of a project. I really think I underestimated the amount of time and effort that was going to go into this refinish. Wow, so many different moving parts, so many drawers. I mean, there's 7 drawers on this piece, those really long sides. Instead of just having one top, I have 2 really long sides. Then I had the top, and I had the back, and I had the insides of that bookcase area. Man, so much work. But after all of that, here is the finished product. What do you think? It's definitely lighter, probably a little bit more modern, but I'm not sure if I like it. Do you? A lot of varying wood tones, and I think it's just because there's so many different woods going on. There's like 4 different kinds of wood on this piece, but I do like it, but I'm not sure if I maybe just should have tan washed it to make it all the same color. I'm not sure. But you see how nicely that side blended in. It ended up working out great. In person, it's beautiful. It's a little bit more like this tone right here in this video. But I do like it, and it turned out really good. But I don't know. Tell me, which one did you vote for? Do you like this color tone? This is antique walnut on 4 different kind of woods. So, of course, it takes differently. But it really is a lovely tone. And that hardware, man, it really cleaned up nicely. So tell me what you think. Do you like it? What do you think I should list it for? I'm going to probably put it on Etsy. And so anyway, tell me what you think. Thanks for watching.